right, let's get this thing rolling here. Tonight, guys, we're going to have Will and Andra, flawless Crested Geckos, finally have a gecko guest on. I feel like it's been so long. How's everyone feeling out there tonight? Rich, thanks for rolling through. Hey, there's KP from London. Access Row, what's up, Emily? Hope you're doing well. All right, we are popping. Let's see if I get a few more of you guys. What do you see? Usually it's backwards the other way. Hmm. You know what? It's a brain teaser. You have to really read it, so it's gonna stick in your brain more. Yeah.
Guys, and Da Vinci Boa, if you need Da Vinci, we have it available. Hit up Constrictly. We'll get it
Yep.
to you.
All right, Dred, you excited for our guest tonight? Let's bring up Will and Andra.
Come
First
on,
time
let's do it.
viewer. Whoa, first time viewer. Give a shout out to Morph Out Reptiles.
All
Appreciate you
right.
rolling through, taking your
Working
time
out.
tonight. That is great. I love that. We got to have some new people in here. Morphed Out. Of course, you got to have the clap track.
Filmed in front of a live studio audience.
That's right. We are unscripted. Let's give
Unscripted,
them.
guys. This is naughty business, so who knows where it's going to go and what's going to happen. So, right, you have
Let's
plenty
get
of
them the
couch. You'll only
spotlight
need
here.
one corner of the edge.
What's going on?
What's up? Welcome, welcome. Thanks for hopping in. I'm still trying to get you guys the spotlight. And
There we
us
go,
on the
right there.
side, we like to have our guests get the center stage.
Let's
No
do it.
problem. Definitely.
Well, it's either it's everything for you or nothing for us, and that's what we're going to roll with right now. Look at this damn box roll.
That's cool.
How's South Carolina treating you? How's your temps over there? We're freezing to death here.
It's a little cold
This
this
is
last couple of
27
days.
degrees out there right now.
Yeah.
Like,
We were like 10 to 14 today, so
That's big.
for a high, yeah.
I don't even want to tell y'all that I'm in shorts and flip flops out here.
oh my
So, with my right, with my Hawaiian tropics.
Oh,
God.
Man, that's crazy.
that is. Yeah.
Let's see if we can't get spotlight. I mean, I'm trying to get me and Dred on the side. I tell you, if it wasn't, oh my God, it's you guys or nothing. Okay, Dred and I are going to talk to you like ghosts from the background, so that's what we're going to roll with.
We can do that.
No problem.
All right, so tell us about what you're working on right now. I enjoyed your video today on the thermostats, man. The ball python progress. We're here to talk about crested geckos. What do you guys want to kick off with? What do you think we need to be up to date on?
I guess just kind of kicking off pairing season, pretty much. It's kind of been going on for a little while, but we have an entire process on how we kind of go about things every year. Whether right or wrong, we just kind of do it our way. Just like with anything that you can kind of be in as far as a hobby, there's a bunch of things you can do your own way and it all be right. And then there's obviously a long laundry list of things that you can do wrong. So we tend to do our pairings one to one. We're very big on following lineage, so knowing exactly who the parents are of geckos when we produce them. And it's really a long process in which we've kind of built here at Flawless because when we do our parents and we hatch out babies this year, typically no one sees the production from this year, so we have 1,000+ babies will hatch out and no one gets to see them at all pretty much next year, next season. We tend to grow them out anywhere from 8 months to a year before we start taking pictures, picking what we're holding back. What's
Really?
for it? Yep.
Mhm.
So you guys aren't part of that big, let's do the egg cutting thing and show everybody we got the second that the thing pips?
No, and we're not on either side actually. No, on the snake side or the gecko
Nor the
side.
gecko side.
Oh
But
yeah, way.
yeah, geckos, you don't.
Yeah, you don't really cut with geckos. You just kind of let them come out the egg themselves. A lot of times they're not very impressive. Fresh out the egg, it's
Nope.
very few and far between that they're literally striking, strikingly gorgeous coming out of the egg. Ball python side, the reason that we don't do it is because, again, this is only our third season that we're going into. And typically, and there's no shade to anyone else, we are trying to kind of find our footing without it being. And therefore, we like want to come out of the egg and that way we get a better view. We can kind of be more positive on the ID than kind of just peeking an age. It's not as incisive.
Little more accurate.
Yeah.
I like
Right,
feeling.
right. Okay.
Nice. Oh, here's another comment. I told you your guys' camera looks awesome. I don't know what you're using, but
Thank you.
it ain't
Thank
no
you.
flip phone. That's what I thought too, man. That is very nice.
Clear.
Appreciate
It's
it.
a Sony.
Yeah, we got the lighting and everything set up. Kind of our recording studio.
I'm trying to still get you guys the
Yeah,
big
but y'all
box.
put it. Y'all put a lot of pride. I mean, you can tell.
Absolutely.
With your YouTube and content, y'all really do. Y'all pay. Y'all go like the extra mile, right? What does this look like? What does that look like? Check that
Yes.
box. Check that box. I mean, you can tell with what y'all do.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you very
And
much.
I love your YouTube content. How just transparent, and I feel like you guys never play like you're too big for your britches. You just
No.
always kind of are super honest and transparent with everybody. And I think there needs to be more of that. The way you guys talk to the camera, I really do love, and I love that they're short. They're 12 to 20 minutes, and there's
Yep.
good info, and it doesn't drone. I just think you
Yeah.
guys are really good on camera. So
Oh
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate that.
I'm not really the camera person,
Right.
but but he is. He's got a great presentation
Right.
personality, I guess you would
Oh,
say.
oh my gosh, I think I figured it out. It's a click and drag and drop. Oh my gosh. Let's
Did it.
finally.
that's what I'm talking.
Golly.
Yep.
Yeah, I try to tackle all this stuff and I don't have patience for tech. So what's that tell you?
We
What's
definitely
Marcus and Tiffany? Man, what'd you guys think about going to Atlanta? What a great show. I've been seeing so many people are having that like love hangover about that show. Like it was such a good vibe.
it
Like
was.
I mean, I've been to 150 something reptile shows in my life, and I feel like that one just had great sense of camaraderie and a good attitude overall. I mean, what'd you guys think? What'd you take away from it?
It seems top tier for us. Like that, it honestly is a hand-picked show.
Yeah.
And the from the venue to all the vendors that are there to Bob and Mary and the whole team that they put together
Yes.
is just it's just top tier.
Even the follow up afterwards, we've been contacted twice already about, feedback. How can they improve? What's the next step? What would you like to see?
I was having a conversation actually with Mary at the show, kind of during somewhat of her downtime. But she was saying, they really take feedback very seriously from the vendors because they want this to be a show that is about the vendors.
Right.
Instead of just trying to make money off, I guess, tickets or
Right.
whatever. They're really wanting their vendors to actually enjoy the process.
And I think they're a good team to actually do it and kind of spearhead it because, we've been vending, I don't know, 6, 7 years. We started off online only literally 100%. But I like to see what I'm seeing now because now you're having a breeder slash vendor that's promoting the show, even though he's vending the same show and he's more interested in what the other vendors and breeders have to offer and present to the general public than he is.
That's an
Yes.
interesting point. Are there any other shows run by someone that's a breeder of any size, much less Bob's
No,
magnitude to the community? So
no,
someone that it's like taking someone that's the star linebacker on your team, but he's also the head coach, but he also goes in there and goes, hold my clipboard, I got to run this play, and goes out there and hits the pads. Like he's like that guy. Is there any other show promoter that fits that mold?
I haven't. Well, yeah,
Troy
the
and
All
Nick.
American show.
Okay, yes.
That's a
Well,
pretty solid show.
KG has that right, that downtown LA breeder show. He's
That's
second
gonna
year
get out
this
there.
year.
Yeah,
We try to get out there,
definitely.
but that's all the way across the
We got to make that
side.
happen. And
Yeah, that's just south of me, so I'll be there. I'll tell him y'all said hey.
Great points. And those are great people in the community.
Yeah.
They're also very approachable and fun. And I think that may be starting to be kind of the takeaway of this, and is that you can't just be a reptile person anymore and have success in this. You got to be as equal parts people person / social media, as well as smarts and knowledge about genes and pricing and what you're gonna what
Yeah,
a value is on an animal. I mean, there's so much to it, but a people person is really big nowadays, and those
And you
guys kind of
can't,
embody that.
yeah, you
absolutely.
just can't be an aloof personality either. You've got to be, involved with people. You can't just come in and be an investor in a show and not actually care about the people that
Right.
are vending. I think that is one of the biggest takeaways for me for like social media presence and things like that is that, you know, social media is allowing people to have some sort of, how do I say this,
Voice.
voice, sort of like a platform to speak on things. People actually start having, fans that legitimately follow normal, everyday
Hmm.
people instead of, your celebrities who create, like role models. You're starting to follow your favorite YouTubers
Right.
and they're more accessible. And to me, that's the show scene is trending towards. It's like we as a people are coming together and like not just this whole conglomeration or this person that's out of touch, out of reach.
Hmm.
You're actually able to interact with the people who are running the show.
Absolutely.
I think that's
And when someone like Troy or KG or Bob is running this, they know what your pain points are because they've been there.
mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
They're not so far removed from the reality of what we go through as vendors or breeders or whatnot that they get too far ahead of everybody else or too far away from everyone else.
Right.
Sure.
Okay.
There's a good Josh brought up. Have I been to Daytona? I have not. The Herp and Harbins have sponsored the Naughty Business. I will be down at Daytona this
Right.
coming summer. I have not been to one. Have you guys vended? Have you? What do you
Yes.
guys? You done
Yes, we've
Daytona?
been
Daytona
twice.
is one of our
Yep,
favorites.
we'll be
Yeah,
there again.
we
It's
enjoy
been
Daytona.
phenomenal. The approach of the customer base and that's the big thing on you speaking about Los Angeles. We're trying to get out to different regions. We're not trying, and it's nothing against anyone who kind of hits the road every weekend. Do what you got to do. We more props to you. We're trying to get out to the different regions to the customers that we are, working with, the potential customers that we may work with. We're trying to work on a Korea trip. We've sold so many animals internationally. We want to get out to Korea, see what their
Mm-hmm.
show scene is like, see what their website.
Wow. You
Yeah,
guys are
That'd be
thinking
awesome.
about that for real?
Mm-hmm.
absolutely, absolutely.
Eventually.
Woo! I love it.
That'd be
So
huge.
yeah, we want to do these different things and as well as get out to LA, get out to Texas
Mm-hmm.
because again, we want to be seen in all these networks. We want to hopefully land in the big show, the big platform of the show, and it's not always about the revenue to make at the
Mm-hmm.
show, and that's kind of what we would like to put the emphasis on since day
It's
one. We've
about
been saying that.
touching base and being personal with the customers and with potential customers. It's actually putting faces with
Hmm.
names and Instagram handles and all of those things.
That's the big thing on social media. If we can kind of give any kind of insight on this journey we've embarked on, it would be to pretty much put your energy into your brand, your business, right from your home, right from the very general start. The bigger you can make your brand, the growth, everything that you can learn, even as far as being successful at the business side of it, try to make it all make sense. And to us, we kind of dumbed it down very, very simple. We like to use the KISS method,
Keep
keep
it
it
simple,
simple,
stupid.
stupid for ourselves.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, cool. If we're going to approach this in a business manner, in a professional manner, okay, we can make it to Tenley. All right, we're vending Tenley on a regular basis every time the show. But does that mean we're not going to have a successful year if I don't know, we get a flat tire, we have a family emergency, and now we can't go to the cash grab at the show, and now we have to close our doors. If your business plan surrounds that, it's not going to be very successful when you run into these obstacles. So you want to schedule and plan things around that. That means you need to figure out a way to make money at your passion, at your business, in your underwear at home.
Right.
Having multiple streams of that
Right.
income coming from different.
Man, I 1000% believe in that. And that is entirely what I'm trying to do as well. We're working on import export, working on selling some products like Da Vinci, recycled material PVC, eco friendly racks. I've got pairings coming. I don't have animals of my own available at the moment, but I know there's a whole bunch of plans. There's a whole bunch of things here for 25, 26, and obviously social media. And I'm just blessed to be able to be part of this epic conference. I'm really honored that Craig had even asked me. So there's just
Yeah.
so many. You got to have irons in the fire because when one income stream lulls, what's
Yes.
your other one? Your Amazon, influencer. Do you spend
Yes.
more time on TikTok? Do you run a sale on your animals 10% off to get some whatever it is? Do
Right.
you hit some social media harder than others because you get better, a more captive audience? It's just irons in the fire from all angles is super key. And I'm glad you mentioned that because I think a lot of people, maybe they're starting to get it. You can't just go, I'm a ball python breeder.
Yeah, but
And
even on that, you guys even got into the nickel and dimes of it. If you're going to get into this game, this is your initial investment. Okay, well, how much is that going to cover? Like you break it down to a year cycle.
Oh
This is
yeah.
what it is for feed, and
Mhm.
like, you get into the depth of it, and not everyone
Absolutely.
thinks about that.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. Very, very
Yep.
important. Very important.
That's important.
Yes. Taxes. You gotta love them. Okay. Love the tax side of it.
Yes, exactly.
And that's something I've tried before with small business. I mean, I was ISO Viva from like 2018 to 21. I did custom isopod, fancy roly poly enclosures. I had about 20 something species I was breeding.
Oh
I sold
wow.
my enclosures as far as New Zealand, UK, Europe, Canada, all over the US all the time. And I just I never got to a point where I had enough deductible write-offs or the right tax person to help me
Hmm.
figure out those loopholes to make it beneficial. I ended up just being like, screw it, I'm just a regular person doing regular taxes. Either I make money or I don't. So that's something I needed to be better at, especially now that the stakes are higher than roly polies.
Absolutely.
Um,
Mm.
what do I need to do to get in a tax mindset that makes it worthwhile to keep every receipt and quantify everything? Because I tried and it was like a waste of my time. I don't know what I did wrong or if I didn't have enough
Mhm.
just
Good tax.
expenses to make it worthwhile. I'm not entirely sure the answer, to be honest.
Right.
Everything is taxed
Yes.
on.
Oh my
Just put it
gosh.
that way.
Yeah.
Every
Very well.
Well,
everything.
let's get into this. I mean, that
My guy
so
Chuck.
so y'all got into this. Like, what made you decide to get into the geckos in the beginning? I probably heard it on the YouTube 100 times, but right for some people, the viewers out here, what made you decide the geckos?
So, this one right here decided that, we had 4 kids, so we didn't have time for dogs at the time or cats
Right.
or anything furry,
Anything.
anything really. And he was like, you know what? They seem low maintenance. We got
Yeah.
4 kids. We're getting 4 geckos. And he brings them home. And I remember that morning we were both working. We both worked third shift. So at the time, I think I was still working dispatch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was still working at our county dispatch 911 dispatcher, and I was
I did that for a while. That's awesome.
terrible job,
It's
terrible
a
job.
terrible job.
Actually, I found dispatching, and this is crazy, but I found dispatching to be far more stressful and annoying and frustrating than I did being a deputy sheriff. Like being a sheriff deputy, like a street cop at night, dealing with the worst of the worst. Like I still would do that 10 times over than be a dispatcher.
I
So
would prefer her to be on the street too because she was my dispatcher. Therefore, I
uh,
can remember getting in. I was a police officer. I got into a wreck. Someone ran a light and rammed
mhm.
into my car, and my supervisor comes out. I was good, but supervisor comes out, they're handling everything, and I look over my shoulder, and she's out here, out on the street, on the scene, and I'm like, oh my goodness,
Well,
I'm back to work.
when you don't answer your radio,
Yeah, that's a 10-9. Officer in distress, 10-9 at the corner of
I'm on
Baker
my
and
way.
14th. All
that's
you
a that's mine, and I'm going after him. Like that's my
Yeah.
officer. Not only is that my officer on the street, but that's my officer that goes home with me. So no, I've got to figure this out. But anyway,
You
I
can
think
tell you guys get along. That's what's cool
That's
about it, man.
awesome.
Husband wife duos that are have a shared dream and passion. That just kind of oozes from you guys. You could tell you're
Yeah.
friends more than anything, and that's invaluable.
Oh well, back then you probably couldn't tell.
no, because we
It
kind
was it
of
was rough. It
we
was
were
rough.
like
So
we were like this all the time.
to talk about reptiles and put a good light on it, I mean, this really sheds a lot of positivity in life in general. Because when I brought those geckos home, We only had one enclosure in them. I
Hmm.
bought them from like Petco, all the advice, food, whatever. And I deep dive into pretty much everything we get
Well,
involved
I thought he had done doved off into the worst place ever
in. Yeah, she was
when
like, "What
he
are you
pulled up,
doing?"
because I had made it home that morning that he got the geckos. I had made it home before he did, and I was already like in my pajamas in
Ready to
the
go to
bed, ready to
bed.
go to sleep. And he calls me, he's like, "Hey, I'm backing into the driveway. I need your help to get this stuff out of the car." I'm like, "What stuff?" So I'm angry because I am like not happy. I've been up all night, tired, about fell asleep on the way home. I go out there and I see his big butt sticking out of the back of the patrol car, and he pulled out a big like what is
Exoterra.
Exoterra,
Hmm.
pulled out the Exoterra, and then he has this little box. And I looked at him and I said, "That better not be a snake in that box." I said, "Because if it is, you gonna be the funky smell in the attic."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Just chill out. We're about to get you over your fear right now." And when I opened it up, these four little baby geckos are looking up at me, and I'm like, "Oh, how weird."
So then we set them up and everything. We're feeding them the bugs, and come to find out, we were supposed to have been feeding them calcium dusted bugs, and we weren't
Mhm.
doing that at the time. Also, we were supposed to be giving them a complete gecko diet, which is a
Yeah,
powdered
we
form,
had no clue.
adding water. We weren't giving them that, which was pretty much toss a couple bugs in there, every other day and be good. So all the information from the tech at the store was absolutely wrong.
Incorrect.
We were housing them all together, which again was wrong.
Wrong.
So
This is,
every bit
sounds
of
like a train wreck, bro. This sounds crazy. Oh
But
man.
But this is
it was
what
an
everybody needs to hear.
right. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you
Which
need to hear this type of stuff.
over to
mm,
Facebook groups, which I love. I know it's like a landmine when you talk about Facebook groups when it
Oh
comes to
yeah.
Yes.
reptiles. But this is the way we navigated it. We kind of went through, we saw the different, opinions of how to keep and
mhm,
displaying these different types of animals. So it kind of pulled us in closer because we both were officers and we kind of deal with people at their worst moment. So we were kind of able to bring in the information, get the information, and dismiss any BS and kind of
mhm.
keep moving on, which is a lot of what you have to do in those groups. You don't always have to engage, get the information and go.
In fact, it's
Um,
best that you never
right,
engage.
absolutely. We actually have a model against that. We believe in,
Mhm.
David slays Goliath. We tell all our Patreon members the same concept. Anytime you're a big box or big brand business, especially in a niche field like reptiles, and you run into someone that dislikes you for some reason, and they're just kind of just trying to spew nothing but negativity, like, yeah, you can reach out to them. You can try to amend whatever the issue may be. But if they're ignorant or combative, just dismiss them. Don't engage because it will never benefit you.
Mhm.
The moment you engage
Correct.
that one person and go back and forth, your brand recognition level awareness drops,
Mhm.
and you got to make sure that you don't do that.
100%.
Hmm. That's interesting how such an unrelated field you can find parallels that are useful in reptiles and in a biology nurturing base compared to law enforcement, which is more psychological and physical and literally life and death at
Right.
times. That's really
Absolutely.
interesting to find little nuggets you can pull out and find useful to grow forward. That's really cool.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, you see a lot of parallels in both. We actually in law enforcement, you see a lot of people, which any career-based job, you'll see that nowadays. I think it's a generational difference, but we would get new officers. They would come in. I would have 10 years on the job, and you'll see them, and they'll be so disgruntled and upset, just kind of going through the motions of the job. 2 years in, and they don't understand why they're not a sergeant or a lieutenant, and they're like, "You're 2 years under your belt." It's
Yep.
like chill out. So it's the same thing if you refer it over to, even the reptiles here. We've been doing the geckos for 9 years now. So it's like, okay, a lot of people, they do come in. We try to point people in the right direction. That's why we are transparent and so helpful because we need reptile enthusiasts, hobbyists, breeders to stay in the hobby. We would like them all to stay in the hobby, but we want to be realistic in what's in front of them and what's going to be in front of them as far as obstacles, but at the same time, you want to, let them know, hey, We're very, humble in saying we want more from our business, Flawless, but at the same time, it's going to take you a long time to get to where you want to be. It's not going to be one season, 2 seasons in. It's not going to
I mean, you've been doing
happen.
this for 9 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
yeah,
how many years was you into this? Okay, right. This first year, you had it rough figuring the geckos out, taking care of and things like that. So was you in your third year, 6th year before you really was like, hey, we're doing this right at this point. It's making sense and working for us.
I would say year one at the end, we were already so deep in.
yeah,
We
but as far as like actually
a
the
business.
business portion
It
of
was,
it,
I would
I
say,
would
the end of
say
year two,
yeah,
we
end
formed
of
the
three.
business.
Mm.
Um,
Okay.
and
By the end of year three, we had actually sold our first extremely large purchase.
right, and then
Yeah.
it was pretty much an uphill battle from there. Because we also approached it differently. When we started making our purchases outside of the Petco purchase we did, we started looking around at what everyone was showing off. And we started gravitating to certain geckos, things that we like to see. I love red, so we would see those. She loved all the lily whites and dark,
Mm-hmm.
more exantic. So we
I
just
like
started
Right.
the and the
right.
lilies.
So a lot of the time, the thing we were wanting was not available, but it played to our favor. And the reason it played to our favor is because this is a hobby, generally speaking. Therefore, even a high level hobbyist, you contact them and say, hey, I like this gecko you're showing off. Is it available for sale? They're like, oh, huh, they laugh at you. No way, I'm never selling it. And again, it's just a private message and being as respectful as possible. Like, well, if you ever think about it, well, we're willing to offer X amount of dollars and we want that gecko. And they're like, are you serious? You can have it. So we were closing a
Yeah,
lot of
you dangled something. You in your eyes, you said, I value that for this.
Mm-hmm.
exactly,
That's
exactly.
awesome. Okay.
And we
That's
were able
awesome.
to work with the exact geckos that we wanted to acquire. We've imported geckos. We have our import export. We've done so many different purchases. We've
Where did
created
you import from?
the Netherlands. We imported from the Netherlands. We
Korea.
imported from Korea. We imported from UK.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've done quite a bit of business
And
internationally.
exported. So,
Yeah, we exported to Spain,
yes.
UK several
That
times.
one was difficult.
That was very difficult.
Spain
And
was
that
difficult.
only closed out because of the connections and the network we built. We
Yes.
purchased from Crimson Cresties, and Donna is the owner of Crimson Cresties. She's literally family at this point. She
Donna's
came
the
down
bomb.
to Tinley. We've met her in person after so many years
Yeah.
of online contact and
And
connection.
we continue.
We
She and I
purchased from her.
continue a
They talk
very good
constantly,
relationship.
message constantly, and we actually made a sale to someone in Spain.
Same.
It didn't go as planned, but we was able to reach out to Donna, who's located in the UK,
Yeah.
and we was
And
able
she was
to
able to tell
outsource
me
and connect everything
exactly
we need.
how to figure out how to get
So
that
build your
gecko to
networks.
that man.
Build your
Yes.
networks.
That I had gotten to the point with exporting where I told him, I
Yeah, so
said,
I'm gonna catch a flight.
I'm about to do this myself. Like I'm about to become an exporter and literally take these
Yeah.
geckos to the doorstep of the
Absolutely.
person in every country.
Hey guys, I am working on that. I was doing some legwork today. I've got my import export license, but I have to get my CITES, which is not a big deal. It's just a little bit of a fee for the paperwork. And
Right.
but yeah, I'm looking at exporting as well. I've got people in Canada and UK wanting some animals. So aside from the importing thing, which is a little bit more cut and dry, exporting is a little trickier because
Right.
some of the onus falls on, say, someone like myself as it leaves the country. So receiving is not as sticky as sending out. So I am working on that to hopefully maybe be a resource to yourself or anyone else in the future. It's
Awesome.
definitely very green, but I'm in it to win it. So that is something that's one of my irons in the fire. So I do have my license on it now. Like I said, much to learn still.
Yes, definitely.
I had so we may later on, and maybe I can help you a little bit because I'm going to tell you, doing that was very difficult and it was very expensive, a very expensive process. So the reason why I kind of thought to myself, well, gosh, what's the cheapest airport to fly into in Spain? You know what I'm saying? So that
Yes.
actually fly in myself and then, pick these animals up. Because what I had a problem doing was I could get it to certain countries, but then from there, the courier fees and stuff like that were
Right.
so high, or they just didn't do it. Period. They
Mm.
didn't offer that route.
Get
So
yourself a therapy pet permit. These are my therapy geckos. I have anxiety when I fly. They have to stay with me on my carry-on. I actually have heard of people in the
Mm-hmm.
high-end Chondro
Yeah.
game,
yep.
their transportation fee was their airfare from A to B. And he brought the animals to the buying customer and handed it to them in person and
Hmm.
just cut out all the middlemen. He took
Wow.
them personally, and I mean, by the time you compare the cost of all that and the hassle and the risk of it being up in the air and you out of control, maybe it's
Hmm.
not a bad idea, you know?
No,
Right.
some yeah, from point A to point B, and you personally hand deliver that. That's to me, that's great service.
Yeah, and you get a little vacation trip out of it. You get to meet your customer, make a real connection. You
Right.
know, it's a kind of a neat idea if it's able to work, but I don't know what the pitfalls are. But I thought that was cool, and
I'd be
what
that
you said kind of made me think of that.
whatever country I was in. But what food is good here?
Hey, Spain is probably not bad. Maybe northern Italy. I don't
Italy.
know.
I was about to say Italy.
So what's the most y'all shipped, say, out of country in
Oh
one,
gosh,
like, one year?
I
One,
couldn't even tell
it's
I
you.
couldn't even tell
it's a
you.
lot, just a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a lot.
yeah.
I want to say in general, I don't know if we kept good track of that in general, but I would say a couple hundred out of the country.
Oh, that's awesome. I
But
mean, even if you told me 50, I'd be like, that's still awesome, you
yeah,
know?
I think
Yeah.
last year we did a video, sometime last year where we had sold our 5,000 gecko since we've been in business. So, and we sold a ton since then. And we're producing a slightly over 1,000 geckos every year on a consistent basis.
Mhm.
Wow. That's
Mm.
crazy awesome.
I didn't realize you guys had moved so many internationally. That's
Yeah.
something I did
Well,
not
well,
know.
how many? I mean, like, how many pairings are you working with to produce?
It's easy. I would say right now this season we have roughly 200. I would say 200 out of 250 females. So we have
Holy cow!
roughly 50 females we're not pairing that can be bred. But and again, we still have the males that we will be pairing to them. So even if you average 8 eggs per female, you're gonna have an awesome
Mhm.
Oh, that's
Wow,
crazy awesome.
season.
that
Wow.
is quite the operation. So you must get like powdered food supplement in like the 5 gallon buckets then.
Oh, we go through a lot of food. I would say we're right now we on just dry gecko diet. We're probably somewhere around I would say 15 to 16K a year in just the food. That's not counting any crickets.
You said there was a K at the end of that number?
He
Yeah,
said it. He said it. K.
yeah,
15, 16K.
Wow, you guys, this so the stakes are much higher than I fully realized. This is
Yeah.
amazing. Wow. So
absolutely.
you guys, I mean, the amount of pressure you got to feel on the household budget and to make this work, every move you make has to be super
No,
purposeful.
I
Uh,
deal with that.
she knows that, but the
I deal with
pressure
all
is
the
not
pressure.
really there on that. You got to think about it like this. Comparatively, if we have anywhere through our ups and downs, let's say 1,500 to 2,000 geckos for the year, and that's feeding all of it, we're pretty much at the same budget to feed geckos as we are to feed snakes in general. And the snakes, we have 300 snakes, and we're budgeted for 15 grand in rodents, so we buy our rodents. But we did kind of drop over $5,000 in that budget to lower than 10K because Audra actually breeds rodents to feed our hatchlings, which is a tremendous cut in the cost. So we're right around 9 grand to feed our breeders, grow outs, and all that stuff for the entire year on the snake side. And it would normally be 15,000 just to have 300 plus
Just
That's a
snakes.
huge savings.
Yeah.
hmm
So
Yep,
cost.
and I think I saw that YouTube video, you guys, when you went over that rodent budget and what you did to kind of tighten it up.
Right.
Um, I think I remember seeing that one specifically about a month ago.
Absolutely. So the margins is significantly different. So if you think about that, even if, for instance, this season we had 186, hatch hens on the snake side. We only have 24 babies left. We've never vended with them. We have some holdbacks, but just to produce that, along with our breeders and everything that created it, it's going to take that to feed it. On this side, 1,500, 2,000 geckos, depending on your sales and the bubble and hatch rate, it's gonna cost you 15 grand to feed for the entire year, because you may sell 1,100, 1,000 geckos for that year. So it's just so drastically different.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Okay.
Okay.
Wow, that's a lot to consider. And what do you use for watching this stuff financially? Do you use like a QuickBooks? Do you use a spreadsheet? The back of junk mail envelopes, post-its? Like, how are you tracking all this stuff?
All of the above, everything but QuickBooks. We really don't use QuickBooks
Yeah,
that often.
I
We
don't
need to,
use. Yeah,
but we spreadsheet it, we back an envelope it, everything, all of the above.
it's called I keep all the folders.
Plus, we also have a quarterly meeting with our accountant as well, where we go and we can take them all our expenses and new pickups and this, that, and the third. And it's very, very useful to have someone so accessible, and he's really, really cheap comparatively.
And when I was growing up, my
Not anymore. He heard you say that.
Actually,
no,
very weird. He's
he's
so old, but he enjoys that side
yeah,
of it.
he finds it like a
I'm
little
like, no
game.
way.
But growing up, I saw my dad. My dad was self-employed himself, and he always every year taxes came around, and there was receipts to high
Hmm.
heaven. And I mean, he owned his own pro logging business, so there was a lot of expenses. And so I just kind of watched that growing up, and so whenever it translated to us owning our own
Yeah,
businesses, I mean, it was just kind of like. Kind of like something I was already accustomed to, so I just knew like
Okay.
somewhat how to just scatter everything up and then itemize everything down. So
follow the paper trail.
yeah, just follow.
Right. So are y'all staying consistent? I'm right on that many geckos you're pairing. I mean, is that kind of been? Are you trending up or down? Right. You're watching the market, what it's doing, or do y'all just not worry
No,
about
No,
that?
we
we've
stay
been
consistent.
very consistent in the form of, we kind of, on a much larger level, we kind of follow the same kind of platform that we do on the snake side, where out of all those snakes and all those parents, we're actually looking for very specific stuff. So the clutch count is not the point. It's actually the projects that's the point. So
Okay.
on the Echo side, it's the same concept. We're trying to try new things. Oh man, this didn't work out. We're not going to do this parent again next year. We're
Hmm.
going to switch this up. We're still excited when eggs hatch and what comes out.
Yeah,
It's
because
Absolutely.
you're talking crested geckos, like crested geckos as a whole, we're
right.
about 15 years behind ball pythons.
Absolutely.
But we're now just like kind of hitting the iceberg of all
Absolutely.
the genes that we are selectively breeding out for. That we're
Oh, okay.
Think about it like that. In 20 years ago, there was 250 crested geckos brought in from New Caledonia before they closed the treaty and all of that. Now, that was a melting pot full of geckos. And pretty much, besides anybody who's imported from other countries and things like that, all the geckos you're seeing around now is stemming from that.
Wow.
And even in the last 5 and 6 years, again, these geckos have been here forever, similar to ball pythons. And they're still discovering new mutations and new morphs of crested geckos. You see, so it's like, wow,
Wow.
okay, you want to follow that a little bit.
well,
And
yeah,
I
and you,
also
I mean,
now see the importance of why you import from other countries to get other
Right.
blood, because you said such a limited number came out of New Caledonia. That makes sense
Absolutely.
why you would reach to other countries where they've been captive bred to get other lineages, because they may not have just been in that grab bag that came to America at that time
Right.
back in the day. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm. Do you guys have the ability to show off any animals tonight? Is that anything that's within reach of you guys or no?
we're in a
No.
separate place beside the
Yeah.
Separate
facility.
facility. That's
Yeah.
totally fine. Do you guys want to talk about Epic? We got Craig's video to run here and see if you guys want to talk about Epic and see what we can learn about Brian and your upcoming appearance on there.
Sure. I'm messing around with your platform here, we may have a way we can show some stuff off, especially
I
some of
can go to
our.
your. I can screen share your Instagram, but
Okay, let's see. Um, Print. Let's start.
while you're tinkering with that, I'm gonna run Craig's promo here.
Definitely. No problem.
It's called EPIC, the Exotic Pet Industry Conference, and it's free to register at epic.live. EPIC is over 20 special guests across 16 sessions covering industry trends, marketing, branding, podcasting, and YouTube. EPIC is for pet keepers and breeders. It's for gecko and invert lovers. It's for snake and spider lovers. EPIC is for anyone who enjoys these amazing animals. Did I mention it's free? Register now at epic.live.
Pretty excited about that. I see you got a screen share going here. That's awesome.
Oh yeah. Let's see.
Let's put
So
this
yeah,
bad
that's
boy
crazy.
up on screen here. Look at this thing. Yeah, let's talk about Epic, man, while we're looking at these animals. What do you guys think about this appearance? What do you think of this? I mean, obviously, we all feel positive about it, but what do you think the legacy is going to be when it comes to this Epic conference, guys?
I think it's going to be interesting to say the least. You're going to get so many different uh, perspectives on social media, on the reptile community as a whole. And I just think it's an amazing kind of start of a foundation to build the reptile industry further
Absolutely.
in the future. And possibly be the glue that brings everyone together.
Mhm.
That girl there, that's cringe. That's one of our big projects we're working, which is the Empty Back project. We bought her actually from
Brian.
Crested Exotics, which is Brian.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he hates when he sold her at that point. But we've
Yeah.
had her for quite some time. It's crazy because you look at her, you're like, okay, cool gecko. We've turned down like 10 grand on her a few years back. And she's, I mean, made us a ton of money and still are dropping legends here in house.
Yeah,
She will never go anywhere.
she's now in our actual exam project.
Right.
So she is really pumping out with about some 100% hit exam empty
Yeah.
back.
So
it's
it's
pretty
really
awesome.
kind of going down an unbeaten path and trying to perfect the projects that you come up visually in your head and try to see if you can kind of make those, living in the scales. In the scales.
So, talk about some of the lineage of this guy. Why is he so important to you? Can you, like, a lot of
So,
us are familiar with ball python and stuff, phrasing and stuff. Talk about the genetics. I mean, is there codom? Is there, recessives? Is there allelics? Or what have they identified?
that's all still up at play. The
Yes.
genetics in her is the empty back gene. So there's a tie between empty back and super stripe. One being recessive and the other being an incomplete dominant. And when both are present, they give a display similar to this girl here. Quad stripe and stripe along her belly, and it replicating itself on the other side as well. They're highly sought after, especially with the fringing around the head. She's also supposedly being like a head hypo-ish, which gives her that weakness in her skin. And just to make a gecko like her is like literally groundbreaking. So she's really highly sought after. And in geckos, you're going to have similar genes that work just like the ball python. They just don't have as many. And that is really coming.
It's coming full circle because we're each year it seems that we're uncovering more and more genes, and that's why I say that we're about 15 years behind the ball python industry because we are isolating genes as we go.
Right. And you have to be have an open mind when you're a Crested gecko breeder, keeper, and enthusiast. I want to say just what 4, maybe 5 years ago, they just kind of came with a rough guideline from Little Monsters, which is another breeder. I believe he also has a scientific background, and he came up with a complete guide at that time
called
the Foundation Genetics, where he came with a long list of different genes and crested geckos, how they are expressed, how they can be transferred onto the offspring, whether they're incomplete dominant, whether they're recessive, how they interact with each other.
And we're starting to find that there are some allelic
Right.
combinations and things like
Relay
that.
combinations. And again, nothing
Really?
thick, so some things people try to kind of jump out there and debunk some things. But that was never the point. The point of it was, hey, this is a foundation. This is the start. Not only
Mhm.
that, we've had them here for 15 years. And just now, I mean, 5 years ago, you get someone that put in enough work and research to kind of say, hey, I know you guys may be just getting in, but here's where you can start. You don't have to agree with it all, but it gives you kind of a starting place. I find it amazing.
I do too.
So how did you go about finding a mentor? Did you reach out to them? Did they reach out to you? Was it just a mutual respect and admiration? Can you
Uh,
talk about how that went along and what the importance is of? I know in the chondro community, having having a mentor is like everything. And
right.
there's people I really admire in the rainbow boa community, like Dave Calling, Rainbows Are Us, and obviously in the ball python game, there's many. But in the chondro game, it's a smaller pool, and when you get into it, there's so many opportunities to mess it up and fail in the incubation and rearing process. That having a mentor means everything. How did that start for you guys, and what do they get out of it, and what do you get out of it as a symbiotic relationship?
So with Brian, it kind of started out basically we started buying a bunch from him, right?
Um,
And I mean a ton. And then he at some point in time on one of his website releases, he had offered up actually the very first Xanthic that I saw.
mhm.
And he had posted this particular Xanthic up was like $9,999, and he sent it to me, or Will sent it to me. He's like, "Look at this," and I was like, "Whoo, that's a lot of money."
Mhm.
And I said, and in the caption it read, I'm offering this up for, sale this one time. And I really feel like this is going to be an amazing project. And if someone would like to get in on this early with me, it was a cool caption.
Right.
And so I had sat there and kind of stewed over that myself because I really like the Xanthics. I liked the black and the white. The high white and the black was like huge to me. And
Right.
we had already been able to grab up a lily white, which was one of my dream geckos. And we were already working the reds and the high whites at the time. And I said, I saw Brian actually posted up another Xanthic. And I
Mhm.
was like, Will, we need to pool our funds. We need to do whatever we can, and we need to get that Xanthic. And so that's when I guess he really started communicating with Brian, and they formed this like bromance.
Ha!
Fast forward, but it was more so. I think Will is very logical, very realistic. He has it's called perspicacity. Basically, he can see 4 steps in front of him and see every different scenario that may or may not go right or wrong. And he's already kind of gotten there before everybody else has in his mind. And so when he was talking to Brian, he was like, "Let me ask you this. You know, do you think that somebody could make a full time do this full time?"
Right.
And Brian was so upfront and honest with his thoughts because at the time he was still working his full time job
Right.
at UPS, and he said, "No, I don't believe so." And then Will he took that, and
Mhm.
we moved forward, and that was pretty much the beginning of a relationship that will never end.
So it slowly moved that way where Brian he'll tell you himself like he's very bad at answering messages and responding in a timely fashion, and my patience is very good when I'm trying to get information. So I would message him, forget I messaged him, he'll hit me back a week later on Messenger or whatever it may be, and literally we were making several purchases, and we kind of really pride ourselves on being low maintenance customers. We're low maintenance friends. We can kind of talk with someone and 6 months later, haven't spoken to them at all, and pick right
Pick
back
right
up
back
where
Pick,
we
up.
were
yeah,
at.
right back up like nothing happened. Yeah, that's a good connection when that can
Oh,
happen.
really good.
Hmm.
And that's formed a tight, we're literally family. I can call Brian right now. He's going to pick up the first ring at this
Brian
point.
is like my brother.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just grew to that point where yeah, we were a customer first, really low maintenance customer, picking up things, did all the research and footwork, ourselves as far as, getting kind of down to the nuts and bolts on the business side, because just having passion is not going to get you there. you got to also know generally how some businesses work. And after watching him in even the Exantic, so the Exantic project in the Crested Geckos, when it came about, there's, maybe 4 different lines of Exantics. All of them are compatible, but it was really a slow roll for them kind of being discovered and rolling out. And I watched how he did it. He bought the project that he ended up, the Altitude Exotic line of Exantic from the UK. And he purchased the entire project from the breeder. And
Wow.
when he brought it in, he had the project. He didn't sell anything. You're talking about 6 figures into a project. He didn't sell anything out of that project for 2, 3 years. Nothing. He just sat, bred it, made certain parents. So you watch that on your structuring, and you're probably hearing it kind of repeat itself when we told you, hey, we do breedings this year. We hatch out babies. You don't see them till next year. So it's kind of
Ah,
replicating that same consistency. And you watch that, and for us, we kind of avoid issues. When you're presented with obstacles, like when we were making sales earlier stages of the business, you're getting people that are spending their hard earned money. They're working really, really hard for it. You don't know everybody's situation. If it's, if it's hard for them to come up with $1,000 or it's hard for them to come up with $100. So we started looking at it like, you're contacting someone, and with Crested Geckos, especially at a smaller size, 10, 15 grams, you're typically going to be buying, a probable male or a probable female. You're looking on their belly with a jeweler's loop. That's not
yep.
100% accurate. So you're dealing with high end projects. You're dealing with geckos that's $10,000 at the time, 15 grand at the time. If you have a smaller collection, a high end niche boutique style collection, and you have your female already, and you're growing it out, and you're dropping 10 grand on a 10 grand baby at the time, and someone's telling you it's male, and you grow it out and it's female, and you wasted a year,
You're really gonna
they're
not
going to
be
be upset.
happy.
So again, us doing it and structuring our business in this manner, it allows us to hatch things out, not even look on whether it's male or female or not at all, and grow it out for almost a year, 8 months to a year. Pretty much around 20 grams, you're seeing, all right, this is male. All right, this is female.
Okay.
Yeah.
People can spend their money at a better assurance rate.
Yes, and not to mention, I mean, just in that aspect of upgrading your own
Right.
programs and
Yep.
things like that, it's actually more
Much better.
beneficial to wait and let them progress, because with
Yep.
geckos, it's kind of like the opposite of ball pythons. Like
Yes.
when they're babies, they do not look like they're going to look
Yes.
as a fully grown adult.
And that was eye opening.
That was very eye opening. Like the progressions on these things, you can legitimately hatch out a high white gecko, and it's brown or dark brown, and
Wow.
it looks
Yeah.
like, or it looks red.
Yeah.
This is another parallel to chondros, guys. This is another parallel. I
Exactly.
mean, you want to get your max money, you sit on them for 2 years through OCC, and then figure out your holdbacks and what you're going to sell the remaining for.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. You said holdbacks. That's the key
So
word.
that's what we did, was we just started, once we established, the business, and once we established that we were going to have to upgrade our space because we were running out of room
Yeah, when we had
in the
everything in the
house.
house.
Yeah, because we had everything in the house. We built the facility, and then we just started keeping 100% of our hatchlings
Yeah.
here in holding them back.
And it was
season.
one eye-opening situation. So we make ourselves available to the entire community. So at shows, especially when we meet people, like, look, hey, if you decide to buy from anyone else and you go to Crested Gecko Mart, way you need some assistance, message us. And they're like, message you? Yeah, message us. We'll help you out. So they're like, yo, help us out even though we ain't buy from you. We're like, yeah, we'll help you out even if you don't buy from us. We want to overall improve the community. That's the angle on it. So we had.
and that's why you guys are such an awesome fit for Epic. I'm so excited about
Yeah.
that because of that exact sentence right there, man. That is really the whole soul of that concept, I think. And you guys are it.
We just want to just keep our eyes open and move forward and learn everything we can, because we bumped our heads, which made us go that route. We actually got contacted by a person on Instagram, and this kind of was all downhill from that point. They're like, "Hey, check this gecko out. What do you think of this gecko?" And we looked at it, and we're like, "Oh my gosh, it was one of them drop dead gorgeous geckos. We would love to have it. It was incredible. We're like, man, that's amazing. Who'd you get that from? Oh, you. We got
You?
that from you guys. We're like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. So yeah, that was it for
Yeah.
selling babies. We were, because we sold that one as a baby long time
Yep.
ago. And we got into that. We're gonna grow it out and learn from our mistakes and avoid these obstacles moving
That
forward.
kind of answered something else I had
Yeah.
on my mind. Yeah, what was the reasoning for starting that hold, but that year or two waiting period? You just kind of nailed it on the head. That makes sense. The one that got away, we all have that love, right?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
But these were a lot of the things that we experienced that you won't hear a ton of gecko breeders, breeders in general, animal breeders, like you won't hear a ton of people discuss because they don't, I mean, they just don't share that
Right.
information. And that is the biggest thing with mentor mentee is that when you have somebody that you can trust,
Mm,
you can ask the crazy questions, the stupid questions, the you're afraid to ask questions to that mentor,
right.
and that mentor should absolutely, they're a very good mentor, turn around and give you honest, transparent answers.
Right.
Which is why the relationship between Brian and Will blossomed so much, is because both of them are so realistic. And Brian realized pretty quickly that we were different. You know,
Right.
we were not one of these like jump in and out of the frying pan. We were
Right.
here to stay. And so, we never had any drama attached to us, which is the one biggest thing that across
Yes.
the board, like we don't have drama attached to us. We legitimately disengage at any sign of drama to do it. And that really goes all the way back to being police officers
Right.
because we have seen people in their worst of the worst. They're real emergencies. These are real periods of time where families have lost
Mm-hmm.
children or there have been in car accidents. We've seen people, you know, so those are the things that normal society doesn't get to see. And when they're upset about X, Y, and Z,
Right.
it really is unfortunately trivial comparatively to other
Man,
fights.
you were so right, Audra. I almost said that earlier. See, I was a paramedic firefighter for a decade. I was a paramedic with St. Louis City Fire Department, which is
Yeah.
the deep end of the pool, and then in Knoxville as well. And I did some dispatch here in Jonesboro when I moved to this area for about a year. But I also worked in some busy ERs at city ERs that see like 250 patients a day in 25 rooms, which is a lot of turnover.
Yeah.
So I've probably seen a good 500 people leave this earth. I've delivered a couple babies myself and
Mm-hmm.
everything in between. And
Mhm.
that's the thing. When I work in sales, I get so fed up with people that are like freaking out and hitting the ceiling and they're so stressed. And it's like, bro, this literally is not life and death. Had you ever been challenged with someone's actual life and death and the decisions you make right now in your hands, you would just take this as a grain of salt. Like, just chill. Like, real life and death is a different thing. And seeing families go through that, it just it gives you a gradient of what's important and what's not in life. And so you guys, you said, you took the words out of my mouth. I didn't get to bring it up earlier, but yeah, you nailed it, Audra. I feel the same way. People got
And
to take realism a
how do you
little
put
bit
it?
more into real life circumstance, and that's so true.
People have
I'm
Exactly.
different
glad you said that.
experiences,
Mhm.
absolutely. And then
Exactly.
you also want to look at it too, because for us, we're not passive. We're very assertive. We definitely speak up for ourselves in different situations, scenarios. But I feel, in my opinion, the entire community can kind of learn from this topic, very specific topic you don't really hear a lot. We are not in the kind of bubble where we know everything. We're still learning a lot of things. We're not aware of the rifts and beefs between this person and that person. We are friends with a lot of people in the industry, but we stand firm on who we are. When we're in the building, we may have
Yes.
A and friend B, and we're cool with both. We're
But
not
Yep.
aware that they don't
that
get
they don't get
along.
along, but we're
We're
not playing that
Yeah, we
game.
ain't playing.
Like we're
Y'all need
not
to
doing
figure it
that.
out. That ain't got nothing to do with
Yes, exactly. That right. Yeah, you don't want somebody to call you, hey man, did you hear this? I don't
Nah.
want to hear what you got to say.
Nope.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, we
Yeah,
are all on
that
the
has
same
nothing to do with
page, all
me.
four of us with that right here on this screen
Yeah,
are
we
definitely
we preach
subscribed to
we
that.
try to live that way too.
Yep.
Hmm.
Keep it
Yep.
Yep.
over there.
Absolutely. Go figure it out. Go lock yourselves
Yeah.
in. home and figure it out.
Well, and I guess if someone's mad at you because of someone else you're associated with, then I
Oh,
guess
that's crazy
That's
anyway.
a them
Yeah,
problem.
that's a them
That's
problem.
self-corrected errors
They need to
there.
fix their issue.
Mhm.
Go right to the person. Go right to the
Yeah.
source.
But I mean, like, we've always been this way. Like, don't bring us any stuff BS like that
Right.
because we
Yeah.
we don't
I
entertain it.
don't want them
We're
to
not
do
going
that.
to tolerate it.
Too
So,
negative. Some nuts.
Well, and you guys are totally on point with this, and this is what especially the newcomers coming up into this hobby, need to see this,
Right.
or hear this. Like I vended my first show,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a little tiff between someone out here I heard of him and a friend of mine.
Right.
Well, we're hanging over here with so and so vending this year. Oh, that guy, and they wanted to start in, and I go, please,
stop.
I don't want nothing to do
Yep.
with that. That's between
Yep.
you. I don't. That's nothing to do with me. I wish
Mhm.
you guys the best today, and I'll talk to you later. And I walked off.
Yep. Yep. Drama free.
Drama
Yeah,
free.
Yep.
There's
Agree.
Jeff.
I said just because I know the guy, that has nothing to do. Y'all's tiff ain't got nothing to do with me. I said y'all just please leave me right, and I walked off.
Mhm.
Yep.
so. We were talking about your mentor Brian. What this is, I guess, maybe an awkward question, but I'll ask it either way. What does Brian get from you guys? What does he get? But beyond just a customer, what does he get? Like the symbiosis of how a mentor and mentee played together, just out of just gross curiosity.
Mhm.
What is the backflow of information or benefit to someone like that if someone is trying to find a mentor or find a good fit? What do you have any words of advice on that, or what do you think Brian gets out of the relationship besides you guys being good friends now?
So basically, I can explain this in just as simple as I possibly can. All right, you know how the leader of the hill, he's on the mountaintop, right? He or she is the leader. They set the standard. They're on the mountaintop, right? And underneath said leader, you've got all of these other people that are clambering up the mountainside. They're
Mhm.
trying to get to the top, and they're hungry, right? So if you are at the top, that means you're the main mentor. If you've got other people up underneath you that are hungrier than you are to
Mhm.
reach the top, chances are they're going to get there and surpass you. So you utilize that as a mentor, or a really good mentor. You want all of your people that you mentor to do better than you do,
Right.
correct? So that pushes you to do even better, to continue to set that standard.
Right.
And he's been very clear that he kind of had gotten sort of complacent in some of
Yes.
his business practices and things like that,
Huh.
and it motivated him
He said
to
we
see
motivated
our
him to.
hunger.
Yeah.
Yeah, to
Because
Definitely.
see our
you challenged him by asking him the questions you'd
yes,
asked him.
yes,
Not
yes,
even just that, even with our actual business
yeah,
performance on execution, it's allowed him to kind of come out of hibernation
yes,
and continue to get out of cruise control and step on the gas. He's actually verbalized, which shocked me at the time. He's verbalized that to me several times over, whether it's doing YouTube videos and content, whether it's being interviewed, whether it's doing the actual business model. And he said that several times that we actually
motivated.
motivate him
And I
to
don't
keep
care.
pushing.
I don't
Huh.
care how big
That's
you get.
awesome.
I really
Yeah.
don't care how big you get or how well connected in you get. You always need that one person that you can go back to, you can trust, and you
Right.
can sound off your ideas on. And that it is never going to be, in any stretch of the imagination, just a one man show,
Right.
just a one person show. It takes a village.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really the mentality of a good mentor mentee, relationship.
There's a lot of respect there as well because the bond that we've built over years, we've always kept business, business, and friendship, friendship. That way, you're never, there for kind of finances or, whatever that may be. You
Yeah,
just
no.
leave that alone. And it is whatever you need to buy, you buy. He's turned around and purchased several geckos from us, which
Yep.
is kind of crazy. I was like literally
Man,
small
that's
conversation,
gotta
like,
feel so cool. You motivated him. He's buying
yeah,
animals from you. That's gotta be
You
really
guys are so
awesome.
humble. I mean, it really is, right? This is a blessing
oh
to
yeah,
speak with y'all and just and hear your
Whiz.
story. And I mean, is there ever a point that, okay, I'm gonna pat you on your back, but is there ever a point you look and go, hey, we can give ourselves a pat on the back because we are doing something? We
Oh,
are
just that
figuring this out.
I'm not good at that.
No, I don't know. I don't necessarily know. I think it's weird because I tend to want to celebrate his wins because I'm consistently like, okay, okay, cool, we did this, we did that. Okay, now what's next? Or I'm over here figuring, doing this, that, and the third, and I'm like, I'm honestly proud of my husband because I believed in him. I still believe in him. And I feel like he heads up our business so well. And I like try to give him as much support as I possibly
Which
can.
is hard because I'm a perfectionist too, which is not always a
Yeah.
good thing. So I'm more of that person that's checking the box. I'll set a bar, I'll set a goal, check that box, create the new goal.
Yeah.
There's no time
He
to sit
he
and trying
tends
to
to
enjoy
not
it
celebrate his wins and
at all.
I celebrate them for him. But but
Well, we're gonna
I don't know.
celebrate y'all's win right now. How about that? Because y'all are doing good. I see it. Y'all. I mean, you're still doing it. You're gonna do great. Hey, it's 2025. Cut right. Come on. This is gonna be a great year for everybody. So,
I feel that
Absolutely.
way. I
all
feel
right,
very
let's
Absolutely.
throw
positive.
it out there. Let's put it out in the universe, guys.
Absolutely.
This is
Absolutely.
our year.
We're set too humble. Yeah, you gotta stay humble.
Too.
You got to.
I love a
Well,
shout out to the Whiskey Bomb Network, man. Awesome
Yeah.
friends. I can always pick up the phone and get any advice I need from them trying to grow. And so
yep.
definitely people like them, more Forge, and market herb collectors. Those again, mentors, mentees. What do they do for me? What am I doing for them? And like some of the stuff you guys are sharing is just all processes in my head and various relationships, how to improve this and network, which is really what it's about, man. Like a good community that grows together is invaluable.
Thank you, Brenda, Eric, and Amanda. I like to watch this.
So do you want to, I got questions about ball pythons. You teased me about that. I want to ask about inkbird. You did that cool screen
Okay.
share thing from your end instead of me doing it from my end before, and it was really nice and clean. You want to show us any more stunners you got in your Crested Gecko collection that you might touch upon that we could bring up here for a second before we talk about ball pythons a little bit?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's
I know you guys probably can't spill any secret, something coming in the future, but definitely there's something in the works, I'm sure, even with the geckos that no one's
Oh
probably
yeah.
hasn't seen.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Amanda with PJ's Creations and Wiz out there from Whiskey Bomb Network out there throwing all the flowers at you guys down there in the comments. I love it.
We appreciate them
Thank
greatly.
you.
Definitely. It's been so genuine and
Good people. I
real.
had such a good vibe meeting. I mean, Wiz and Keys, they were so great to meet in person. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I don't know if they're huggers, but we became huggers right off the bat. So,
And the wives
Oh
are
yeah.
awesome too. They're just
and I felt
Absolutely.
like everybody was huggers there. Like when I met, like Nikki and Kurt, Craig, you guys, it's just like
Yep.
you got this sense
Nikki
of just like, oh, bring it in, man, bring it in, and just
was
it was so
funny.
cool.
Nikki, he was funny because she said when she was standing, she's like, "I'm a hugger," so
Yeah.
me too. I kind of got a little like standoffish from hugs like after our first Tinley trip because when I came back,
She was sick.
when I tell you I was sick, no, I wasn't just sick. I
She was
died
dying.
twice that week. Like I had QA. And like it was that serious. Like I said, when I get on the next plane or when I go, I'm wearing a full glowworm hazmat suit. Like yes,
Oh
like
my
I'm
God.
wearing a whole suit. But I do. I'm a hugger too.
I
I
love
definitely
it. Love it. Let's take a look at this gecko here. What can you tell us about this fine
Oh,
specimen?
this
This is
boy
a
here.
high
Go ahead.
white red.
Yep.
So it's a red based animal with a high white coverage. It's an extreme harlequin.
His name's Perfection.
His name is Perfection.
We name all our breeders. We
Yes.
don't name the babies. We name all our
Yes.
breeders.
So we name all of our breeders, and this guy comes from our Glacier Tigra pairing. And Glacier was just a fabulous example of a powerhouse breeder in our industry. He actually was breeding prior to us getting him. And so when we paired him with Tigra, which was a tiger, a red tiger,
We ended
they
up
just
hatching out
ended up
this beautiful red
just,
base
whew,
tiger high white
yes.
with crested geckos. Pretty much the same thing with ball pythons. Not only the genetics are there, but if you strategically do your pairings, you're going to get better and better expressions of the genes that's present when you start holding back certain animals. So he's literally perfection, which is his name.
Yes.
We'll show you another one,
Just to
which is
show you,
Prada.
yeah, we just want to show you like the progression of the programs per se. So that's a high white red that you just saw with perfection. And we're going to move you into some of our high white red base animals that are actually what we are going towards in our high white red program. This is years of selective breeding that we're about to show you.
Ooh, oh my God, I'm gonna add this to the scene so the world can see it. But hot damn!
Yep. Yep. So
Yes.
that girl there is
Ooh, look at that
absolutely
thing. Fat, wide head. You could set a quarter on that thing. Fringe for days. Eyelashes galore. Man.
The structure is amazing. Yep, it's incredible.
Structure, color, just coverage, just unreal. And this is legitimately a progression of sorts. So you saw perfection, who was absolutely beautiful, and then you just progress through the years. So it's just
What do you call this one? Pearly Gates? I mean, what's better than perfection?
That's Prada.
That was Prada.
Oh.
Kind of along the line, a different project without necessarily being red. We have Casper, and Casper is amazing.
Man, that is awesome.
I know,
you touched on
stunning, just
structure.
stunning.
So you know what's funny, guys? Crested's got me back into reptiles a decade ago. I had a big background in reptiles in the 90s and early 2000s. I got out of it in my 20s and 30s, and then 10 years ago I got back in with Cresties and then Gargs, which I no longer have either, but they brought me back in, so I learned about structure, and you guys are crushing the structure game.
Oh,
Thank
yeah. Yeah. Now we have this big hefty boy.
This
is Casper. He hardly has any base tone. He has a pretty dark base, but he's literally being swallowed up with all that cream and white all over him. His head is huge. His body is huge. He's in the 60 grams. His structure is amazing. He's an awesome breeder. All around incredible gecko. He's never going anywhere. He's literally amazing in what he produces.
Forget about quarter on the head. That's a $50 right there.
Yeah, he is awesome.
Massive heads.
Absolutely.
So this is just, I mean, if you notice, like I said, there's just progression. These are animals that we have specifically put pairing together to create.
Yep.
So it's isolating these genes out.
Yep. And going down that tunnel, that rabbit hole.
That rabbit hole, yeah.
So is it the kind of thing, you know it when you see it, when it's an animal you have to have, even if it's someone you may not have dealings with before? If you see it, you're like, that's a piece of the recipe I need. Or do you need the genetics and the pairing from the parents before you make that decision?
No, you don't necessarily need it.
I think it will get to that point. But again, like I say, we're still behind.
And then it also is a time frame on how fast are you trying to get to that point. We're not in a super rush. We've been kind of doing this for a long time. So we can even, if it's something that we like visually and it doesn't necessarily have the lineage behind it, or they don't have parent information at all, we wouldn't shy away from a purchase like that.
No.
We would definitely pick it up because we are 100% behind, Crested Gecko business, the passion, the whole following up what you're going to produce. And again, we're planning on continuing breeding for the next 15, 20 years. So it's easy for us to be able to purchase or pick up a non-lineage animal. And next thing you know, we're 5 generations in, 7 years from now. So it's like, just follow and see if it's producing anything remotely of what you want to see.
So I have a couple geckos. My daughter's got a leopard gecko just for as a pet, and $15 on sales animal from Petco one day. And then I have a Chinese cave gecko in my vivarium. My bedroom stays the coldest in the house, so it does great in there in a Planet Viv. You never see it; it's like Sasquatch. But I've always liked geckos. I have a lot of experience, white line geckos, tokes, all kinds of stuff from back in the day, all imports. I've always loved geckos, and I recently kind of have some. If I do any other 4-legged critters that are cold-blooded, I'm thinking satanic leaf-tails, fants, and the Strophoreus spiny tail geckos, those speckled ones with the blue mouse from Australia. Those are both very pricey, both a little tricky. And those are two species that I'm kind of like, if I get into geckos, I want something really niche. Do you
Yeah.
guys get any dream species you see yourselves expanding into?
Um,
Hmm.
so there's a couple of different animals that I'd love to have, species I love to have, but it's not practical for us
Right.
in this time frame. Um, we do have chewies, so
Yes.
we do have those. We
A bunch
are
of them.
yeah, a bunch of them. We've just been
Doing our own thing
chilling
behind the
and
scenes,
yeah,
and we're gonna jump out with that probably another couple of
We're
years.
still 2 years away from hearing about that, so we're cool.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think let's see.
It's a different
I
speed.
don't know.
I know we are planning at some point, probably when we move to the compound,
Yeah,
to get elephant trunk snake.
yes, those
Really,
are so
like those
cool.
are so cool.
Oh, what kind?
Elephant trunk snake.
Oh, really?
They're
Oh,
so cool.
man.
They got such cute little smushy
Yeah,
nose.
those are cool.
They
But
are a
Yeah.
weird animal. I mean, that's cool because I love unique. I love the unique stuff.
just
But
with
yeah,
like
those are
your
definitely
arrow,
different, man.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
that'd be cool. And
I like the sunbeam snakes myself for a weird one. I love
Like
the sunbeam.
Yeah, those
and
are
I
cool.
actually, it's funny because I actually do like the hog noses too.
And then I also like Mike's Monitor's Black
The
Dragon.
black, yeah,
I like those. Those are cool.
the
Okay.
blue. That,
I've been
Blue
falling in
one.
love with Ackie monitors lately. If I was thinking
You
about doing
know,
one as a pet, I love the Ackies, man. I
yeah.
don't know why. They don't get too big. They're so quirky. I love their pattern. They're really
I don't
cool,
know if
man.
you've seen the Blue Tree. Is it the Blue Tree monitor?
something
Oh
like that.
God, yeah.
Oh my
Sundown has some.
gosh!
Oh, they're
Yeah, he's
beautiful. And
Brian Stencil.
um, the blue. Are they blue and nulls? Is that what
Oh
they
yeah,
are?
yeah, yeah.
Those are pretty
Those are
too.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah, you got to stay focused. That's why I just do 3 snake species
yeah,
because it's
I
so
know.
easy to like go, ooh, rabbit, shiny thing. I want that. It's like so easy to get distracted,
It's funny because when we brought the kids to the shows, like our two younger ones, Lucas and Abel, they were like all over the place, signing all kinds of different things. Abel was over there with the axolotls. Lucas
Yeah.
is over here with the
Ah,
monsters and
Yep.
stuff like that. And
I heard a lot about axolotls last weekend. I almost lost $120 for one with nowhere to put it. I don't even have a tank for it, and I'm like, I'm going to be putting it in my pocket in a Ziploc, I think.
yeah, those are
Ziploc
so
it.
cool. Those are cool. They have such a sweet little demeanor.
Mm.
But then also, have y'all seen the mud skippers?
Yep.
Yeah. They're
Those are
cool.
I haven't seen
Those
them.
are so cool. Yeah.
They're
but-
cool.
Yeah.
So what do you got on? What's with the ball python thing? You had kind of floated to me a question when we got to meet in Atlanta. That's are you not a question, a statement that people are always bugging you with a question of
Yes.
when are ball pythons coming? I know you guys have items I see for sale. I'm in your broadcast group there on Instagram, so I see some of your stuff.
Right.
Tell me where those animals come from. What are you doing on breeding, or like what's the plans with them?
Okay. So we with Flawless Exotic Creations, we followed up after Flawless Crested Geckos business plan, looking online first. The thing about it, though, we're so off on the lopsided on the numbers we were talking about earlier that once you start getting traction and making, customer contacts, we actually were looking at Jeff Ballhead Balls. He actually picked up at the show. We didn't know him before the show, and we talked almost an hour at the show, made another connection. All these connections that we make
Super
via
nice dude.
YouTube videos, whether via shows, all those is building that network and just expanding further and further. We literally year one we had 43 clutches, and we had about roughly 250 babies. We held back 40, and we sold every single one of the available babies from that year, and never been to the show with them. We were shooting for I think it was 51 or 52 clutches.
Ball pythons?
Yeah, ball pythons. And
Holy cow, that's a lot of
Yes.
work.
but guess what? We only hit 33.
Yeah,
we were only lucky enough to
33
hit 33
this
this past season, and it was 186 babies. We held back 21, and in
we
its
only have
entirety, we only have
24
24 left.
and one is
one is going in
in.
just a little bit,
Yeah.
but we don't have the inventory for various reasons. We started our videos and everything on YouTube. and we do a what's in the box. We're going into season 3. What we didn't know, we're monetized and everything, thankfully, which is cool. So we get a little bit of change from marketing and advertising your own business.
Yeah, that's
But
pretty cool.
we didn't know people were going to be reaching out after seeing what's on the box and what we're working with and making purchases.
Mhm.
And that was eye opening. So we sold so many snakes just off of YouTube videos as well as Instagram, which
Then
put
see
us in.
that was happening on TikTok as well to a lesser extent, but I mean, Dred, you can attest to this. We've both moved animals just through
Yeah,
viewers hanging on our hangouts.
Yes.
Not
absolutely.
really the shows. We don't on shows like our naughty business where it's very we try always to be very scheduled and structured, even in the wild west of TikTok, was it's all about the guest. It's all about honoring the guest and putting them on a pedestal and like making the night special for them. And so, but when we do our hangouts, it's a little bit more of a goof off, and we show animals, and people will be asking, looking for stuff. And we've both moved snakes through TikTok, and I would assume with your presence and following, yeah, I can imagine that that helped with being YouTube, having a foothold already. That's interesting. So, is that a sales outlet? I don't hear a lot of people talk about. Is that something you've shared with other folks as like an avenue besides Morph Market?
Absolutely. We tell everyone consistency and putting very relevant topics and issues, obstacles, things you might run into. We've been putting out 2 videos a week this entire time, plus a live every other weekend. And we just literally just been consistent with it and been building an audience, building a following on the projects that we're working with, other people are interested in. For everyone in on certain things. So it's allowed us to move so many ball pythons via that avenue, and it leaves us with nothing to vend with, which again, we're kind of on the other side of things. We want to keep building, 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 and we want to, vend at some point, but it's not in the business plan just yet. We're probably a year or so out from maybe next season being able to vend, but it depends on what we're popping out. We may end up vending at that time in the same situation and just bring our holdbacks, pay for our table, show our holdbacks off and the genes and combination, kind of mirroring the Canova method in the sense where nothing's really for sale. But if you wanted to see it in the flesh, come and see it in the flesh. And
Joggernaut as well. Does
yeah,
that? He'll bring like
absolutely.
blood, jaw dropping blood and short tails, and then it's all NFS.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like a fashion show. You're throwing out inspiration and then drumming up that
Yeah.
sizzle to
Absolutely.
come buy the steak later. You know.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So, and that's kind of the approach on it, So it's kind of the flawless crested geckos, business plan on steroids.
Yeah, I was about to say minus the mistakes.
Right,
But
right. Because we made
that's a lot of ball pythons, guys. What's the trick? By basement prices? Are you just got smoking jeans that everybody covets? I mean, that's hard to move it now post 21. How are you moving that many animals?
I don't want to say it's easy because it's not. I don't want to make anything sound like it's easy, but we made some videos as far as our perspective and the way we think of things. Everything we do on the ball python side is literally strategic. We call it staying out of the trenches. If you like certain combinations, go for them. There's going to be a customer base out there for everyone.
Mhm.
But if you want to dial in on something specific, we're touching on a lot of stuff that's never been hit before. And again, we're still new. So we're venturing after things that we don't even know how it's going to turn out until we hit them. Maybe good, maybe bad, but we're going along for the ride. We're going to take the journey. We're trying to put puzzle clown, stranger puzzle clown hasn't been hit. We have a chance on hitting that this year. You
Okay.
know, after we have stranger puzzles. We have a lot of high end things that we started out with out the gate, and it allowed us to put us in a certain position. For example, I think everybody out there for the most part has an Ozzy boy or Ozzy snake.
Yeah.
We love Ozzy. Ozzy does amazing things,
Yes, he
but
does.
Move your
he
head.
he has
There he is.
some yeah, that boy right there. Like they gave us a heart attack as a new breeder, but
Mhm.
we purchased him. He arrived. He didn't want to eat. But he finally started eating the normal gripes and
And
complaints.
now
But
he's
he's
just
a
like,
stud.
yeah,
I mean,
crazy
he's
awesome.
probably 1,400 grams at this point. He's literally a stud, and it was worth the investment in getting these one of a kind snakes. We've imported from over at the Netherlands.
Hmm.
Our Stranger Double Hat Puzzle Clown that wasn't available here. So it's just jumping into projects that's not, worked extremely hard. Going back to that Aussie boy, he's a super orange dream, super itchy, leopard, hypo, pod, 100% het ultra male. You can take some very basic combo females and make out of this world stuff. You can
Yeah.
take a girl, you could take a pod het hypo, or some of them cool hypo pod combos, which we ended up grabbing up. And
Yep.
he's
I'm working on Super OD Hypo Pies as well myself. Yeah.
so that if you jump down certain lanes, where people talk about, which we haven't really talked about that side of it, trying to turn a profit. You look at a snake that's $13,000, whatever it may be, and you're like, well, I don't want to do that. It may take 10 years or so to make the money. In that project alone, he's more than paid for himself. And you look at what you compare it to. You can take a project like that, go back during when prices were higher, and say grab up 3, 4 hypopod combo girls. And if you got four, let's say 6 babies each, and this is on the low side, 6 babies each. I mean, you're still sitting there with 24 babies. Every single one of them are going to be hypopods. Every single one of them, bare minimum, is going to be orange dream inchy hypopod. Half of them are going to be leopard. Half of them are also going to be 100% het for ultramel. So test them. Then turn around, hold back what you're going to hold back, sell off the rest, and you've literally paid for all your females and your investment male in one season. We were just blessed enough that he sired 8 clutches
Yes,
for
he
us.
did.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
females
Boy
being
did some work.
combo. Oh yeah, it's you just gotta literally plan it. You gotta plan it out. You can't. Audra uses this phrase. You can't willy nilly it. You gotta have a plan.
He loves my southernisms.
Yeah,
And I think for both of us, I can speak. We were kind of willy nilly in the beginning. Dred's had a really successful 24. He had like 5 or 6 clutches straight out of the box. And then, hanging out with people like yourself and Kyle Hoffman and Mills and Emilio and Bob
absolutely.
Vu, just hearing stuff that they have to say. Hell, I took a step back and got rid of my breeder sized animals because they were too basic. And I was so
Yeah,
excited to get eggs in the incubator. And then, Jen at TJ Hutch, people like that just telling me, you know, you're going to make some snakes that are $50, $70, and you're not going to be able to move them. Like, why
right. And
even
you
do
lose
it?
motivation. You lose
So,
motivation at that point.
yeah, you're feeding them. You're paying for the electric and the bedding, everything from the water bill to how much you got to feed the rats and all of that. So then it kind of sunk in, and I moved on from breeder sized animals that were really basic and just kind of moved back and took a step back on my timeline, but to
Right.
further improve the quality of the animals I'll put out. Will they still be worth what I can do, a year or 2 years after I would fell in love with those appearances? I don't
Right.
know. But also I shouldn't care. I should just follow the passion. If I like the way it looks and I got it in the rack, put them together and make it. Do something you love and be good at it, and I think that shines through in your product in the end. And money will follow because you'll get more creative because you get bored. And that's the cool cycle, man. If you're into this for real, the passion everybody says. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
what it is, man. If you really love it, you'll come up with something new.
Oh
Oh,
yeah, you want to
absolutely.
still keep everything in plan relatively small. I know we have a lot, but that's still small compared to what bigger breeders may be doing. We're trying to keep it very specific, so that's why we do get upset if we don't hit that target. A target clutch count is because our pairings are so specific. We really want all of them to go. Because if we miss on one or one reabsorbs, we got to wait obviously to the next season, which is fine, but we don't have 5, 6 of the same exact pairing going. It's stuff that is producing that we can't even go out and buy, and we
Yeah.
just planned and started it right. We have a girl this year, for example, our hurricane het pod girl, something relatively basic, but it's still niche enough to kind of have its own lane. So year one, we bred her to Ultramel, Inchy Ultramel Pod, had phenomenal results. We have pods, we have Hurricane Pod, 1.1 out of that were 100% het for Ultramel. Year two, we bred that same female to our DG Pod. Was lucky enough to do the same thing. We got 1.1 Hurricane Pod het
Mm-hmm.
DGs. But when you look at the general market, there were none of them available out there for sale. So the only place you really get hit is when you hit some of these incredible combos. You can't necessarily sell it right out the gate because you do need to keep some back because you're producing things that's better than what you have. That's the only place you get hit at. But at the same time, you're not dropping the 2 and 3 and 4K and purchasing these things because you produce them. So it's very interesting to go down that path.
Man, I think there's a lot to take away from this. You guys are definitely an inspiration, just from a friend personal level to what your business plans are and how you're going about this. Um,
Thank you.
we do try to wrap up at 90 minutes. Are you guys okay with that? Anything else we must absolutely know before we let you go tonight?
Yes, by the way, we have Crested Gecko release tomorrow night, Friday,
Yeah.
9 p.m. on our website. We are still one of the few breeders that still have an actual dedicated website, which is by design.
flawlessgeckos.com.
Yes. And a lot of people ask us, why do we do that when everyone gravitates towards Morph Market? And again, we have nothing but positive things about Morph Market.
It's just basically having
Darian
your
a friend.
Yeah, Darian's awesome.
You know,
but it's just basically having your own space of the World Wide Web where
Right.
you're not completely dependent on another platform.
right? Because as much as we do on social media, Instagram, and all of that, those platforms can be taken from you.
Yeah, they can.
You know,
Yep.
it's Morph Market.
And I agree with you guys, man. I got a .com I haven't developed yet, but I have constrictlybusiness.com out there. It's just still a coming soon webpage. I bought the domain just sitting on it because I completely agree with you. I think it's really
Oh
great
yeah.
to have a
My
full
wife started balls in the bush, you know, for her side of the deal, right? I'm dreadnought and she's balls in the bush. So, right? It works.
But yeah, you can have your merch, any
Yeah, and then
durable goods.
you know what I'm saying? Then you have you got to have something to fall back on. Now,
There
have
you
Greg,
I
go.
made a lot of sales through the site?
was there some
A
double
couple, but
entendre there
mostly
that
from
I missed
TikTok
about
to
that
go into the
name? I
site.
don't.
But it
I think it was
works.
just the accent. It was the accent.
Yeah, I know.
Balls
Balls in the bush. Hey, and Jen inserts her laugh. Hee hee hee. Every time I say balls in the bush on TikTok, Jen's over there laughing.
hilarious. Hilarious. But we appreciate you guys.
Yes, we do.
Man, I appreciate your time so much. You guys have been
Oh, this
awesome.
was awesome, guys. Thank y'all. You're welcome at the campfire any
So
day of the
I
week.
will
It
see
don't
you
matter.
hopefully
Rain,
in
sleet, or
I'm going to
shine.
see
Come
you in
on.
Nashville, right? One way or the other.
Yep. And Epic. That's right. Epic.
Well, of
Epic.
course we
Epic's
have
coming.
Epic. We're going to be getting together via some Zoom meetings with Craig, and I believe with Chris of Fat Man Nation to figure out how best to produce that track with Brian, your mentor, as well. I'm heading up the breeder business track, and it's the only mentorship pairing, I think, out of all the 16 speaker slots.
Yep.
So you guys hold kind of a special place as far as what we'll be covering, which is really cool. So I definitely look forward to it. We're down to like 43 days or 41 days or something like that. So
Yeah.
it's a coming.
Awesome.
Yay.
Awesome,
Very
guys. I appreciate you so much. Thanks again for your time. Dredd, any final words, Duke?
Dude, this was awesome. And I can't wait to see y'all in Pomona at some point or at KG's show. So we'll be
Absolutely.
looking forward to that in the future.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Definitely in the plans.
Heck yeah.
Awesome show. I love it. The guys have a great night for sure. And thanks everybody, right? Thanks everybody for hanging out with us. If it wasn't for y'all, we wouldn't be here doing this.
Thank you. I appreciate all the love out there, all the comments, you guys being active. It means a bunch to me. And you guys have a great rest of the night. We're going to play you out with the epic video with Craig's soothing voice to lull you into the rest of your evening and the peaceful dreams. You guys have a good one. I love you. Be good, Dredd. You're my brother. Will, Audra, thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Awesome.
See you guys. All right, Dredd. You have a great rest of the night.
Dude, you
We're gonna
too, big
let,
dog. This was awesome tonight. I
it
love
was
it.
great, buddy. It was great. We're gonna let
I
Craig
love it.
play us out here. And you, my friend, I will see you on the flip side.
I'll see you on.
All right, buddy. Thanks for coming through, everybody.
It's called EPIC, the Exotic Pet Industry Conference, and it's free to register at epic.live. EPIC is over 20 special guests across 16 sessions covering industry trends, marketing, branding, podcasting, and YouTube. EPIC is for pet keepers and breeders. It's for gecko and invert lovers. It's for snake and spider lovers. EPIC is for anyone who enjoys these amazing animals. Did I mention it's free? Register now at epic.live.